Hey everyone, it's Joe Carrell. I'm in my mix room today and I'm demoing a new piece that I thought maybe you guys would enjoy to demo with me. I've been interested in trying the Tegeler Vari compressor. I'm a big fan of variable mu compressors, and before we get going, I need to give a shout out to Vintage King. I called up my friends in the sales department of Vintage King and let them know I was wanting to demo one of these, and they made it happen. So big shout out to the guys at Vintage King. Anyway, that said, in my own mixing, I'm a big fan of variable mu tube compression and what it does on organic type of material. Let's say I have a heavy banging rock song. I'm going to put a VCA compressor on the stereo bus because I want that aggressive thing. But vice versa on organic, dynamic, natural sounding tracks. There's just something special about a variable mu on the stereo bus. And even in both forms, a lot of times I'm using VCA stuff on individual tracks or variable mu stuff on individual tracks ever before the stereo bus. I love compression. What do you got? What can I say? But let's take a look at it right here in front of us. So each side kind of mirrors one another, and we can link it or unlink it, so we can use this on a vocal and this on a bass guitar, for example, if we want to, and just turn that like that. But if we link it, the attack and the release on the left side control the whole unit, okay? But the input and the output are still effective. If we want to hard bypass it to hear how much of a difference we made, these switches right here. This is a cool feature they've built into the later models. So if we have this down on the comp, we are hearing the compression. If we do that, we are passing through the tubes, through the circuitry to get the color of, the analog color of the unit, but no compression. So if we wanted to use it as a color box on a group insert or something like that, we could, and get just a little of the analog sound. But for today's demonstrations, we are definitely going to hear the compression. Last but not least, we have sidechain low-cut filters. We have 60 cycles, 120 cycles, or full range, okay? Oh, and then, of course, a gain reduction BU meter. Let's get right at it, though. I have a song here that you may have heard in a couple other demos. It's just been on my mind recently because I fell in love with the storytelling and the singer. This is our friend Gloria Anderson. So we should give this a listen. And what I have this on the stereo bus as an insert. Let's set the low end to 120. Let's link them. And let's put it in bypass. So we're not hearing anything yet. Got the attack all the way down, input all the way down. Okay, here is the song without any compression.
There's a house on the market in my old neighborhood with a fresh coat of paint and brand new hardwood.
Okay, this song is the kind of song that will sound magical through with a little glue of a tube variable mu type circuit. Let's say turn the attack all the way fast and release all the way fast and just kind of dial in something.
There's a house on the market in my old neighborhood with a fresh coat of paint and...
Okay, a little too fast. Sometimes what I like to do, my approach is attack and release times I know can be a little tricky for some people. But sometimes if we use too much of it, and we can really hear when it's really grabbing and when it's releasing how much pump we are or are not getting, that can help us fine tune it. Then we dial it down to the right amount, but we know it's musical compression that we're applying. So let's do that.
There's a house on the market in my old neighborhood with a fresh coat of paint and brand new hardwood. Bet there's pencil lines hiding on an old door frame that could tell you how tall I was when I turned 8. There's a house on the market in my old neighborhood.
Okay, that's a little heavy-handed. It's kind of stifling the track just a little bit, but that's the idea. I want to hear where the attack and the release are in a fairly attractive spot. Now I will dial the input down a little bit and add it until we get the amount that we want, okay?
There's a house on the market in my old neighborhood with a fresh coat of paint and brand new hardwood. Bet there's pencil lines hiding on an old door frame that could tell you how tall I was when I turned 8. There's a house on the market in my old neighborhood.
Okay, I like that right there. So without it, let's listen one more time in bypass. And her vocal, although it sounds great, is just a little too free and the track is not gluing together.
There's a house on the market in my old neighborhood with a fresh coat of paint and brand new hardwood.
Now let's put it in, and here, like when she says fresh coat of paint and brand new hardwood, let's just make sure it's keeping her reined in a little bit and making the track nice and round and buttery behind her.
There's a house on the market in my old neighborhood with a fresh coat of paint and brand new hardwood.
Okay, one more time without me talking, before and after, fresh new coat, brand new hardwood, listen to it.
There's a house on the market in my old neighborhood with a fresh coat of paint and brand new hardwood. There's a house on the market in my old neighborhood with a fresh coat of paint and brand new hardwood.
To me, that's great. You know, that's what a variable mu compressor does on a song like this. It's highly musical, doesn't sound compressed, but we have a little bit of control nevertheless. An element that I like this type of compression on, within the track, of course, lead vocals at times. Piano, I think a variable mu can be a magical thing on piano. Acoustic guitar is one of them as well. So this song kind of has a real acoustic, an acoustic part that's a real important part. It's a driving part of the song if it's written on acoustic guitar. All right, let's attack and release. I'm going to turn all the way as fast as possible. Let's leave the high pass filter at 120, so the low end isn't thumping. I am going to leave it linked since this is a stereo track, so I will only be adjusting the attack and release on one side. However, the input and the output will be being adjusted. This is a perfect time to actually mention that the attack on these things is as fast as 2 milliseconds, which is really fast. But we can also slow it down to 100 milliseconds. Right, so up in there should be, in theory, somewhere around 50. And then on the release, it releases 100 milliseconds, which is fast. So as you know, another good cool thing that this type of a circuit can do is explosive, like drum room sounds, which 100 milliseconds is a perfect time for. But it'll go as slow as 2 seconds. So think LA2A, Fairchild, at its slower settings, that kind of a thing. So very versatile. That's one of the things I like about the new generation of tube compressors is whereas in the old days, if we get a Gates or a Stala, RCA, various things like that, I love them. I have them, but they're not quite as versatile. Some of this new stuff, because the attack and release is so adjustable, we can use them on a lot more things, whereas the old ones, a lot of times it either worked or it didn't. Here we can generally find something that does work, which is cool. So let's dial in the acoustic. Okay, grabby, of course. So we're going to slow that down a little bit. And again, let's try to use too much, and just so we can really hear it in action. Let's just because the acoustic is so featured in this song, we don't want the attack to be unnatural. So let's slow it down even a little more. Okay, now let's work on slowing down the release so we don't get that pump. I kind of like that right there. Let's do a before and after. So let's see, bypass. Tell we're already louder, so let me trim it back to compare it. So here's one more time in bypass. Again, I just really like that sound. So we're bringing up the body and the sustain while controlling the attack. So we're getting more average level, but it's not just for the sake of getting more average level. It's musical is the thing that this type of a compression circuit does for me. It just makes me happy, makes me smile. Let's mute her vocal and hear that in the track. So that's just laying that acoustic guitar right in there. So again, just kind of over exaggerating the input because there's not a threshold. You may have noticed that the threshold is the input. Think of an 1176. Same principle. We drive into it to its predefined threshold, and it compresses more aggressively depending on how hard we're inputting it. Same theory right here. And the way a variable mu works, the harder we drive into it, the more compression we get, the more aggressive, right? So the knee changes, the ratio changes, that kind of a thing. It's almost like they wear different hats and can be different devices because we can use them aggressive, and it's like maybe something equivalent to what we hear as a 10-to-1 ratio, or we can just tickle something that's what we hear is like a 2-to-1. Another thing that I like to use, as I mentioned, this type of compression on is lead vocals when they're gooey and buttery. So here is an unprocessed vocal for this song. Here we go. It's raw, except it does have a reverb on it.
Well, I didn't know I'd be more than the things you see.
Okay, now let's dial something in. Let's put it in. I'm turning the link off. We're only hitting the left side. I'm going to start with the fastest attack, fastest release, and I'll just get a little heavy-handed so we can hear the way it's grabbing and pumping and dial it in, okay?
Well, I didn't know I'd be more than the things you see, and it wasn't easy. Well, I didn't know I'd be more than the things you see, and it wasn't easy in the beginning getting to know me.
Yeah, that's a slow, that's probably something like 60 milliseconds, which is kind of slow. But this is a storytelling song, so I want her vocal to punch for a second before this squashes down on her just a little bit. And attack or release is at 3. Let's reduce it just a little bit.
Well, I didn't know I'd be more than the things you see.
Let's see how that sounds in the track.
Well, I didn't know I'd be more than the things you see, and it wasn't easy in the beginning getting to know me. Sometimes I can't see past all the good, the bad, and the growing.
The word that comes to my mind is musical, and that's literally why I pick these on songs like this. I need that singer to punch when she's. It sounds emotional to me that way. That's one of the things this type of a circuit does to my ears. Can allow some of the punch to come out, but also bring up some of the subtleties, and it just sounds more. The emotion of the song is coming through to me as a listener, which I love. Maybe you guys are interested in grabbing a demo too. And I will tell you, they come in probably the coolest case I have ever seen in my life. It's like a pirate's chest or something. Very awesome. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Happy mixing.